Jina lake ni Rita Mueni. Stori yake ni moja kati ya stori ambazo zimekuwa zikiongelewa sana katika nyanja tofauti kwenye mitandao ya kijamii na haswa pia katika vyombo vya habari kote nchini Kenya. Binti mdogo miaka 20 ambaye mwili wake ulipatikana ukuwa umetawanywa vigae vigae, yani umepata kukatakatwa katika one of the Airbnbs iliyopo sehemu ya Roysambu. Now, the DCI, together with the police in the country, gave us some information in regards to the proceedings on the investigation of Rita Mueni's death. And many thought that the culprit had been taken into captivity, which gave a lot of parents and a lot of people in the country hope that, you know what, no matter how these people think that they can maneuver, they can maneuver through the country after committing such an heinous act and get away with the murder of such a beautiful young lady with a very promising future, then they were wrong. Now, it has come to our attention that the man that was arrested at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport the other day is not the man who is said to have been on a date with Rita Mueni, and is not the man that killed the young little girl. So stories have been brought back. Investigations have decided to be carried again afresh. Remember yesterday, one of the media stations in the country called the government pathologist, Mr. Jahansen Odor, to inquire on how Rita Mueni died. Now, the story of Rita Mueni is a story, one in 100 or 1,000 stories in the country of what is happening right now. Many have come out saying that this is a femicide. These are attacks that are aimed at our female and our girls in the country. Let me tell you, when you look at the picture of Rita, what do you see? When I look at the picture of that girl, I see a beautiful young girl, a teenager at that. You know, for us in our country, Kenya, you know, we mature slowly. Our girls realize the outer space and living alone so late in their lives. Not like in the Western countries where somebody at the age of 16 knows what life is all about. They have even moved out of their parents' house and now they're living alone. But us in Kenya, you know, at 20, at 23, at 24 is when somebody, you know what, you realize now I'm old enough to get out of my parents' house and start my own life. And now when we speak about Rita, you realize this is the age of your little girl, you as a parent. This is the age of your small sister. This is the age of your baby girl. And this man is walking the streets of this country, or maybe has flown out of the country. Let me tell you, you know, something like this, once it happens, I don't know how our police forces react, but when you look at how the other Western countries, or let me say the developed countries, how they react to such cases, a bolo is always given out. You can't leave the country. Let's say the guy had a Nigerian accent. The guy is known to be from Nigeria. So to tame this guy out of leaving the country, what they would have done is flagged every Nigerian or every plane or everybody that is supposed to fly out of the country to Nigeria. But our country values money and values, you know, the coins that they make out of such things. Now I ask, you know, Rita was a normal girl. She comes from a normal parent, a normal family. And that's why, you know, this guy, I don't know where this guy got the idea from, you know. I take her in, I kidnap her, and ask for 500,000 from the parents of the little girl. Now tell me, where on earth is a parent supposed to get 500,000 from? At this certain times, if the parents is not a politician, nor is he a big businessman, this guy, what is supposed to be done to such a guy once they are taken into captivity? Now, let's put aside the case of somebody like Rita. Let's speak about Starlet. Yes, we accept that our girls right now are in danger. And let me tell you, our girls, acheni niwaambie, sai, if somebody asks you out, make sure that this somebody, you know where they come from, you know their roots, you know their parents, you know either a brother or a sister to them, so that you are sure that this guy is not going to do what has been done to others. Another body was discovered in Guacairo. Now, another story is coming from Kisii, another story is coming from Kisumu. It's January, for crying out loud. And the stories that we are hearing on media right now are stories of the death of our little girls, the death of our women out here in the country. For a man, you're supposed to protect a woman. And I always say that with passion, because you can never mess around with the people that are in my life. You can't mess around with my mom or my baby sister or my girl and you expect to get away with it. No, it would be different if it was for men that are being done this stuff. That's where even the community has an eroded fact on how they treat certain cases. Right now you have seen on every social media, stop killing our girls, stop doing this to our girls, stop doing that to our girls, this femicide must stop profiling our girls as prostitutes here and there because of what they have done. But one thing at a time. Rita Mueni, she was 20, for crying out loud. And mind you, the head of this girl is still missing. It hasn't been recovered. Only the body parts, the legs. I heard of the explanation that Johansen Odor, the government pathologist, gave in regards to this case, and I was like, damn, this girl went through hell under the hands of this man. So, another thing that makes me sick is finding that there are rules and regulations, that there is a constitution that also protects that man who did that animal who did that, because that is not a man. That is not a man, and that's not how we treat our women. That's not how we treat our girls. There is a law under the Constitution of Kenya that protects a guy like that once he is arrested. Nothing can be done to him once he lawyers up. Once he asks for a lawyer after the arrest. Maybe in prison people decide to deal with such, because those are people that we call pedophiles. What other name can we give them? It doesn't matter that the girl came on a date with you willingly. And our women, I have seen a video of a certain big-headed guy trying to portray that our women out here, they are after money. And let's say they are after money, we don't reject that. It's an economy that everybody has to use every way they have to survive. It's an economy that you have to do everything in your power to survive. Now, 4 people have been arrested in regards and in connection to the murder of Rita. One is the guy from Mozambique. There was a drama at the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and the guy was taken in together with his 2 friends. The other one are the 2 neighbors at the building, the Airbnb apartment where she was killed. The other one is the owner of the Airbnb, the lady. The lady was speaking even to the media. Now, let me ask you a question. You as an owner of an Airbnb apartment, and this is not the first case that you have had of such cases happening in Airbnbs, why do you allow somebody to come in while you have not verified their information and live about verifying their information? You tell me that this guy came hiding the axe that he used to cut when Rita's bones in his pants or somewhere. No, this guy came with the bag, and in that bag he carried the knife, he carried the tools, things like the detergents and the bleaches to wash blood out of the apartment. Because dear you and mind you, when it was discovered that something had gone wrong in the Airbnb, the owner of the Airbnb went on to check on the Airbnb. After opening the door, she tells us that it seems nothing was wrong in the house. The blood was washed, everything, and even there was a scent of a new perfume in the room. Why? Because the guy had all the time in the world to kill, to divide, and he carried the man. I imagine of the situation that this little girl went through. No human being does that to another human being. And then clipping off the fingernails so that the DNA that maybe Rita had scratched him and his DNA was on the fingernails, he clipped off the fingernails so that nothing, no traces of him are left. And that's why right now the guy is MIA, missing in action. He hasn't been caught. He hasn't been found. Now, a story in regards to how this guy asked for the money from Wendy's parents is what has really left me wondering, how do we operate? How do we operate? Because we have, like right now, already a task force should have been assembled to deal with this case. Why am I saying a task force? A task force because you need people with certain abilities to capture certain people with certain thinking capabilities and certain thinking mindset. Yeah, this guy is a psycho. But do you know psychos have a very high IQ? When you send a AP to look for a psycho, it will be very hard for the AP to capture. Now I know the homicide department under the DCI is a group of people with certain abilities to track certain down criminals, because this is a homicide, and once a homicide happens, the police comes and secures the area. Once the area is secured, the forensics comes in. What is collected there to be suspicious and what might provide insights of what really happened there and what might lead to the capturing of the culprit is taken to a government a government pathologist, who then carries out the investigation, does the DNA analysis, and tries to check the time of the death. Because it is believed that before the guy cut off Wendy's body, alikuwa shamaliza kumuua. So Wendy alikuwa samani Rita Mueni alikuwa shamaliza kuuawa. So Rita Mueni alikuwa shamaliza kuuawa. So chenye walifanya, huyo mtu alikuwa na hizo detergents. So meaning mtu, hii si mauaji ya kwanza, ni eti hii ndio imejulikana. How about mauaji yale anafanyanga, then anaosha damu hivyo, anatoka anabeba hizo huo mwili na hizo parts, anaziweka kwa gari, anadisappear nazo. Tunaelewana? So kufanya investigation kaa hii, hizo parts hata zikienda zitupwe mahali ama zichomewe mahali, mtajua aje? Ni cases ngapi za wasichana wetu saizi zimeripotiwa kwa DCI ama kwa police stations hapa Nairobi ambazo ni they are filed as missing persons report? Ni watu wengi. I know over 100 of our girls are missing right now. Because there are certain sites where these people go catfish these women. They catfish our little girls. Unajua sasa msichana wa miaka 20, miaka 18, miaka 19 ndiye ameingia kampo. Kitu wako nayo ni pesa yenye mzaya anamtumia ya kukula lunch na sapa. Alafu mwanaume amekuja hapo, ameona huyu dem amepost picha fulani hapo amazing, anamwambia you know what, I want us to hang out. I'm offering you that your 50,000 a night. Yeah, our girls are trapped with money, but there's nobody that can never be. Hakuna mtu hawezi kuwa trapped na pesa. Hakuna mtu hawezi kuwa trapped na pesa. So tuache kupoint blaming fingers at our little girls kwa sababu it's our country that has made them to be this way. Sasa kama wazazi wao wangekuwa na pesa ama wao wenyewe wangekuwa na pesa, ndio sababu nasema the government should be blamed. At most so the DCI at large. Sahi tunaongea wanapaswa kuwa wameweka huyo mtu ndani, lakini watu wameshikwa ni suspect watatu walikuwa kwa hiyo building. Hao watu hawakuwa wanajua Rita in any way, hawakuwa wanamjua. Yeah, the lady mwenye ana own apartment anapaswa kukamatwa ndio, but hao wengine, what connection can you give us that links them directly to Rita Mueni? What connection? I bet they don't have any connection. So ndio maana nasema in such a case, na tuko na Rita, tuko na Starlet. You know, for Starlet the guy aliua huyo dem, but huyo dem alikuwa fighter. Sister wa Kanyari, the girl was a fighter. You must agree with me kwa sababu ali make sure hata kama ameuawa alikuwa amedunga huyo jamaa na kisu. Una get? Alikuwa ame make sure huyo jamaa ako na injuries, damu yake imeachwa kwa hiyo nyumba. So wakati investigation inafanywa, DNA yake itapatikana hapo. Alafu aka make sure huyo jamaa ametoka akiwa na nini na injuries, alafu damu ndio hiyo, all that. So for Rita, she did not fight that much kwa sababu ni kama huyo jamaa alimdrag. The picture that alitumia wazazi ni picha ya mtoto wao akiwa amefungwa, akiwa anaonyesha, you know what, either you send 500,000 Kenyan shillings, now that is $500,000, or mtapata mtoto wenu akiwa maiti. Wazazi watatoa wapi hizo pesa right now? Watajiua, watajiuza wapi? Because a parent is ready to do anything to see their kids survive such an ordeal. They are ready. Let me tell you. Usiseme eti wazae ndio walifanya mtoi wao akufe. Gasia angeenda teke watoi wa watu wako na pesa, si kuteka watoi wa watu maskini bana. And how I pray that this case cracks a whip to this cartel of Nigerian girls. Peter Roysambu, Malio Roysambu, huyo msichana aliuawa, ingia Roysa. That's when you will realize that Nigerians wamefanya Nairobi ikuwe yao, alafu they have taken our girls, wamewafanya wakuwe bibi zao na wafungwa wao. Because these people go do Yahoo business in Nigeria, they come with money here in Kenya, and then they find our girls ready to be spoiled. Wasichana wanalia, the Nigerian men are romantic. What romance is there with somebody mwenye ameua watu ndio akuja akuletea hiyo pesa? What romance is there? For speaking out loud, what romance is there? I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just stating facts. Wewe ngangana na huyo kijana wako, ngangana na huyo kijana mwenye ana kakitu, but at the end of the day unajua, you know what, huyu ni wangu na mimi ni wake. Mahali tumetoana ni sisi wenyewe tunajua. Instead of you going ahead kukubalia baradhuli pumbavu ya mtu kwa maisha yako ikuje ikupitishie kitu kama hiki. What Wendy went through, it's unimaginable. What Rita went through. What Rita went through is unimaginable. Now, there's a certain publication that I've seen. Now, in a recent revelation, the late Mueni, a student at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, disclosed critical details about the suspected murderer's action before the fatal incident. According to information highlighted in Tuesday's People's Daily publication, Mueni's family asserts that the prime suspect sent a photograph of the victim in a prone position before carrying out the heinous act using an axe. Contrary to initial assumptions, detectives have determined that the apprehended individual is not the correct suspect. Consequently, The search intensifies to locate and apprehend the actual perpetrator, described as a foreigner. It's worth noting that Mueni was on the verge of entering her fourth year at Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, as reported in the same sources. Now, as reported by the People's Daily, ransom of 500,000 within 24 hours for a release. With this message, the family reported the matter to the police and DCI, and investigations began. The family said the killer had also sent a photo of the deceased while laying down as he prepared to take her out using a hacksaw. This, it appears, was a tactic to extract the ransom from the family. Detectives from the DCI have gone back to the drawing board after a suspect who was on Tuesday arrested on the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, JKIA, just before he flew out of the country, turned out to be the wrong person. The man was traveling using a Mozambican passport. Now, this tragic event unfolded just a week after the discovery of another woman, Starlet Wahu, found deceased in an Airbnb. The alleged perpetrator, John Matara, is currently in police custody. Matara has confessed to taking out Starlet, but investigators are actively gathering additional evidence to build a case against him for the murder of the girl. Now, the parallel narratives of these two disturbing incidents underscores the pressing need for thorough and accurate investigation. The misidentification of the suspect in Mueni's case adds a layer of complexity to the ongoing effort to seek justice. Meanwhile, the acknowledgement of responsibility by Matara in the case of Starlet brings a different dimension to the legal proceedings, requiring meticulous scrutiny of evidence to ensure a fair and just resolution. Now, what I'm saying is, kisa cha Starlet na hiki cha nani ni visa viwili tofauti, na maana vidole vya lawama vinaelekezwa kwa DCI. Mbona DCI wanalaumiwa kwa kiasi kikubwa hivi? Mbona mkamate mtu ambaye si? Yes, tuseme you are on the spree of arresting these people. Do you know right now, jamaa aliingia na akasema that flying to Kenya you don't need a passport, sijui kuingia Kenya. What type of nonsense is that? Ruto brought these people to our nation. Ruto brought these people to our nation. Ruto brought these murderers to our nation. Ruto brought these cartels, these people to our nation. Because how do you allow people to come into our country without verifications of their identities, their visas, their passports? They haven't gone through any scrutiny. So they come in. Ni kama wanaingia kwa mama yao and then they come wanafanyia watoto wetu hivi. No. I think the best, sasa inaweza kuwa jamaa yupo Kenya sahi. He has flown out of the country. Hawezi kuwa Kenya sahi. You tell me aliua about 1 week ago na ako Kenya akifanya nini? Na anajua hii nchi unaingia ni kama choo na unatoka tu. Ndio mnakimbia mnakamata mtu ana hatia ameenda biashara zake. Pumbavu nyie. Oh, that's what's up. Nikiendelea kuongelea hiki kisa nitaendelea kugadhabishwa zaidi. But the information and the details and the evidences on the Mueni's case iko so scattered. You can't file a case on somebody that has not even been identified. Hata zile pictures tulionyeshwa za CCTV, maybe it's not the guy. Now that's what's up. Make sure una subscribe. See you in the next video. Hii ni FM Show.